Hello, and welcome to Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. I have got a treat for you today. This is a story I've lived with for a long time. It's a story that's infamous in my area, but not well known nationally. Today we are going to talk about Pahrump, Nevada, a little speck of a town famous for one thing: legalized prostitution. I've spent a lot of time in Pahrump, especially when I was the lead vocalist in the Randy Anderson Band, a country cover band that plays a lot of shows in the casinos of Pahrump. It's a seedy little town known for secretive and sinful deeds, a place where men slink off to spend time in the cat houses that sit out in the desert surrounded by tumbleweeds and hot sand. There are many colorful characters in Pahrump, but in a town full of eccentric people, one stands alone. Today we are talking about the life and death of brothel owner Dennis Hof, the Trump of Pahrump. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me. I'm your host, Stacy Lee. Let's begin. Our story begins in the tiny town of Pahrump, Nevada, which sits 50 miles west of Las Vegas. The area was originally inhabited by the Southern Paiute and was colonized by European settlers in the late 19th century. The word Pahrump is derived from the Southern Paiute word Pahrump, which means water rock. The Paiute used this name because there are thousands of water wells in the valley, making it a good place for growing alfalfa and cotton, as well as for raising livestock. There was no telephone service in Pahrump until the 1960s, and there were no paved roads until the mid-1960s. Pahrump is a desolate place, sitting in a valley underneath the Nevada Spring Mountains, and it's famous for two things: legalized brothels and Ted Binion's silver-buried treasure. As true crime fans, you've heard the story of Ted Binion's girlfriend, ex-Las Vegas stripper Sandy Murphy, and her secret boyfriend Rick Tabish, who were accused of murdering Ted Binion with a heroin overdose in 1998. Why? Because Ted Binion had a fortune in silver buried near Pahrump, and Sandy and Rick wanted to dig it up. I've covered this story back when my channel was called Dining with Death. It's this episode on the main playlist. But today we are talking about the main thing Pahrump is known for: legalized brothels. Prostitution is legal in Pahrump, Nevada, and people travel from all over the country to spend time in the cat houses, as they're known. I know people who have patronized these places. I also know men who have gone to the brothels and chickened out before selecting any of their services. I won't share those stories because they were told to me in private, but I have a very good understanding of how these brothels work because I have been to not one, but several, not for their services, but because I became friends with one of the women who worked at the Bunny Ranch. For about a year, I was the lead female singer in a well-known country band called the Randy Anderson Band, and that band plays a lot of shows at the Pahrump Nugget and at Gold Town, which are two casinos in Pahrump. The band is really popular and has regulars that go to all the shows. Now, on the casino circuit, in a band, you are usually booked for 3 to 5 night stints. You don't just play a single show. You play several nights in a row. And I would stay at the hotels we performed in because then I lived in St. George and the rest of the band lived in Las Vegas. They would drive home every night after the shows, but I would stay. Every night when we finished performing around 2 a.m., I'd get a Bloody Mary at the bar and sit and talk with some of the locals, and I became friends with a woman who worked as a professional prostitute. One day, she had me come and meet her at the brothel where she lived and worked, and so I got an exclusive tour of how the operation works. Now, I'm sure most people have an idea of what a cat house is, and some of those ideas are correct, but I was surprised at how well these places are run. They're very well maintained, they're organized, and sex is sold just like any other commodity. There's a madam at each brothel, and she decides the house rules. There's a chef, there's bartenders, housekeepers, and all of the women and men sometimes who work at the brothels have to abide by very strict rules. They are drug tested, and they are constantly tested for sexually transmitted illnesses. When you enter a Nevada brothel, your ID is checked and recorded, and you are escorted to the lounge. There's always a large bar serving drinks, and some of the brothels have smoking rooms as well. When you're there to purchase services, a lineup of working girls is brought before you, and you choose the woman you'd like to hire. Usually the client and the sex worker have a drink at the bar, not always, but they sit and get to know each other a bit, and then the brothel worker takes the client to a private room where the couple engages in sexual activity. There is a menu, an actual menu where you choose what you'd like to pay for in advance. So the sex worker knows what to expect. And if anyone gets out of line, there is plenty of security in the building, and they do not mess around. You must behave yourself or you get the boot very quickly. I'm going to take you inside the brothels so you get a feel for what they're all about. Now, I'm not even going to try to lie. I get a little skeeved out because I don't like germs. I'm one of those people that sanitizes everything in a hotel room, so I struggle a bit with these images. But here we go. In each of the brothels is, of course, the madam, and then there is usually a manager as well. Every brothel has a house mom. A house mom manages the daily operations regarding the women who work in the brothel, but she also provides support to the women. She is a shoulder to cry on. She acts as a caretaker. She helps the girls with their finances, and she is the one the girls go to when they have a conflict with someone else in the house. The house mom is to be respected, and she's to be listened to. Now, as you can see, the brothels are not, let's just say interior decorating is not the number one priority in these places. They feel very dated and somewhat dingy inside. The women are in charge of their own wardrobe and their appearance. The managers will never put two redheads in the same lineup, or two Asian women, or two black women, because they don't want the women competing with their fellow workers. So if there is something particularly distinct about them, or they are of any ethnicity besides white, only one girl will be put up for choices. I say girls, it's just a folksy thing. Women. You can see a sample of one of the menus here. I'm not going to leave this up for too long because all women who want to work at a Pahrump brothel must complete a preliminary checklist. They must be 21 years of age. They must be able to stay at the brothel for 1 to 3 weeks at a time. They must have an STI and HIV test at the on-site medical facility. They must have a Nevada state business license and a sheriff's card, which is like a background test. They have to have enough money to pay for their room rental. Yes, the girls actually rent the rooms they use inside the brothel. Their rent is usually around $50 a day. They must also provide their own condoms, toys, and anything else they need. They have to have good references and a photo that shows what they look like with no photoshopping. If the girls pass all these preliminary requirements, they have to wait to see if the madam accepts them. If they are accepted by the madam, they undergo a 6-month trial period where they learn how to cultivate their particular individualized brand, learn how to deal with clients, learn how to walk, to talk, to entertain, and to cultivate their sensual skills. The girls do a 1-week training program where they sign a mountain of paperwork and take a tour of the brothel. Now, a lot of these brothels have things like spas and tennis courts and steam rooms. And most importantly, the women are taught how to do a dick check. That's exactly what it sounds like. Each girl is required to do a dick check before any services are performed. The girls are taught to inspect the equipment, and they are taught how to spot the signs of any STI. Should a penis fail the check, the customer is asked to leave. The girls then have to see a doctor and get medical clearance, and then they are assigned to a big sister. This is a woman who has been in the industry for some time who trains and oversees new girls. If the new girls are doing well, they may start seeing customers on day 3 or 4, but for most it's about a week. This is the oldest profession in the world, and you're either cut out for it or you're not, and the madam will see that quickly. Prostitution was legalized in Nye County, Nevada in May of 1958, and it's been legal there ever since. Prostitution is legal in 10 of the 17 Nevada counties, but not in Clark County, where Las Vegas is located. 6 counties in Nevada have at least one active brothel. Nevada is the only state in America with legalized prostitution, and it is heavily regulated. Prostitution is only legal in licensed brothels. Street prostitution is illegal everywhere in Nevada. The main brothels in Pahrump are Sheri's Ranch, the famous chicken ranch, but before these, there was the infamous Bunny Ranch. The Bunny Ranch closed in 2020 due to the pandemic, but it started to die 2 years earlier because its colorful owner, Dennis Hof, died in 2018. Dennis Hof was born in 1946 in Phoenix. He got into business ownership early in his life, opening gas stations first in Arizona and then later in Nevada. He did well, and in 1992, he purchased the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, which was founded in 1955. This venture did so well that Dennis purchased a second brothel, Kitty's, and named it the Love Ranch North. He went on to purchase 2 more brothels, the Cherry Patch and the Cherry Patch 2, which he renamed to Alien Cat House. Now, Dennis was a very colorful character. He was well known in the Pahrump area, and he liked to socialize a lot. He started a website that encouraged the working girls to form relationships with potential clients online, and he made sure his name was always in the media. Dennis appeared on The Oprah Winfrey Show, The Today Show, The View, Fox News, Howard Stern, and many other television shows. Dennis also liked to sample his own product and had relationships with several adult film stars, one of which lasted some time, that being his relationship with Sunset Thomas. About 10 years after getting into the brothel business, Dennis Hof was approached by HBO to star in a series about the brothels in Pahrump. The show was called Cat House, and it was an instant hit. The show ran from 2002 to 2014 and even birthed 2 spin-offs, Cat House the series and Cat House 2, Back in the Saddle. Dennis was doing well for himself, but his life was not without its troubles. In 1999, a Lyon County Sheriff's deputy named Brian Putzer filed a police report accusing Dennis Hof of death threats. The deputy claimed that the threats came from a routine walkthrough of one of Dennis's brothels. Brian Putzer had been sent to surveil the brothels and ensure all the legal standards were being adhered to. And Putzer claims that as he was reviewing documents at the brothel, he discovered that Dennis Hof was setting up sexual encounters in counties in Nevada where prostitution is illegal. Brian Putzer claims he tried to alert local officials to the illegal activity, but that no local leaders wanted to challenge Dennis Hof because Nye County is a very poor county, and the brothels bring in a lot of money that the county desperately needs. Deputy Putzer had a difficult time getting any support for his investigation, and the charges just quietly disappeared. In 2016, a woman named Jennifer O'Kane publicly accused Dennis Hof of non-consensual sexual contact, rape, and sexual harassment. She also claimed that Dennis Hof was having sex with his brothel workers without using a condom, something that is strictly forbidden by the laws that govern Nevada brothels. Jennifer claims she reported these charges to the DA's office, but the attorney refused to pursue charges against Dennis. 2 other women, Chrissy Summers and Cammie Parker, made allegations of abusive behavior and coerced sexual encounters, but state they could not get any support from the DA's office. In 2017, a woman named Diana Grandmaison reported a non-consensual sexual encounter with Dennis Hof, but Dennis denied the claim and no charges were pursued. Feels like we've been doing a lot of stories lately about corruption. I haven't been choosing those cases intentionally. It just feels like there's a lot of them out there. During the time that these allegations were made, it's important to note that Dennis Hof was becoming more and more involved in politics. He publicly endorsed Ron Paul in the 2008 and 2012 presidential elections, and in 2015, Dennis joined the Libertarian Party. When Trump first ran for president in 2016, Dennis Hof publicly came out as a Trump Republican. That same year, Dennis decided it was time for him to run as well. In 2016, Dennis Hof ran for the 36th district seat in the Nevada Assembly. He lost, but he ran again in 2018. That year, Dennis won in the primaries, and then the election got ugly. Dennis made claims that Nye County officials were illegally removing his campaign signs, and he filed an emergency motion before the Federal District Court of Nevada. Dennis won this lawsuit, stating that his First Amendment rights had been violated. Newly energized, Dennis Hof began calling himself Trump from Pahrump. During his campaign, Dennis drew a lot of media attention. A brothel owner running for public office is not something we see every day, and reporters were clamoring to get an interview with this unusual local figure. A reporter for the Associated Press named Layla Fidel followed Dennis for a while and reported on his life and the work he did. Layla met Dennis at one of his brothels. He was sitting on a red and black velvet couch in the lounge area of one of his brothels. A TV screen was displaying photos of women in lingerie. As the reporter sat and spoke with Dennis, the doorbell at the brothel rang. There were several customers waiting to be let inside. The men came in and sat down. Layla watched as a line of women in lingerie were brought out for the men to choose from. Dennis told the reporter that this is called a meet and greet. The men select which woman they want an encounter with, and then Layla watched as the group coupled off and had drinks at the bar before one by one they disappeared down a long hallway and into one of the rooms. Dennis told Layla, "You're in the world-famous Bunny Ranch. It's been here since 1955. We're going to put up a sign that says over 3 million serviced, like at McDonald's." Dennis laughed while talking with Layla and told her that he was a pimp turned politician. Dennis told the reporter that he credits Donald Trump for his own victory in the Republican primary, wherein he unseated a 3-term Republican incumbent. Dennis told Layla, "Donald Trump, he's a pioneer. He's led the way. I call him Christopher Columbus." I could say something right now that I'm not going to. Dennis tells Layla that he's fashioned his own political career after Trump. Dennis wrote a book called The Art of the Pimp, similar to Trump's book, The Art of the Deal. Dennis says Trump broke the mold and made someone like him a, quote, anti-establishment candidate palatable for office, and that he loves it when people compare him to Trump. Dennis would often speak of himself in the third person. He told the reporter, "Dennis Hof is the Trump of Pahrump. He's rich, he's famous, he's got nerves of steel, he likes hot girls." Dennis says he's also a showman who likes to give derogatory nicknames to his opponents, and he openly admits that he's very litigious and he likes to sue people. Sounds like a great guy. As the interview goes on, Dennis tells Layla Fidel, "I'm rich and I'm famous, and that attracts girls. I work with 500 sexually charged women that love sex. The last thing I would ever do is have to force or coerce anybody to mess around with me." He was already preempting the conversation about the allegations against him. So Layla asked Dennis about those allegations. He waved his hands, gesturing at the women at the bar, and dismissed the allegations as absurd, which I think is funny because, he's definitely paying for it one way or another. Dennis then tells the reporter that the women making accusations against him are out of his age range, and that at 71 years old, he only dates women between 20 and 30 years of age. Yeah. And that's why you have to pay for it, Dennis. After this interview was released by NPR, a woman came forward with allegations claiming that Dennis Hof had raped her. The Carson City Sheriff's Office stated that officers from their department had attended a rape kit and examination done on this woman at a local hospital. Dennis Hof denied the allegations and said the assault never took place. He claimed that the allegations were politically motivated and that he'd been set up by his opponents. Dennis released a statement saying he was moving forward with his campaign and that he wasn't going to let these false allegations get in the way. And then, when the Raiders announced the team was leaving California and moving to Las Vegas, Dennis saw another opportunity to capitalize on.
For doing this with us. I guess yesterday was a big day for everyone in Nevada, but especially you. What do you got going on?
Well, we're excited. We've always been Raiders fans. The Raiders, of course, they all patronize the Bunny Ranch, or at least a lot of them. In fact, Darrell Russell got himself in trouble up here in Nevada once, and he was a friend. So anyway, we're excited. We're going to open up one of my places. I got a new place I'm going to open up in Southern Nevada because of this, and it's the first sports theme-based brothel in the world. And what we're envisioning is girls in Raiders cheerleaders outfits and sports memorabilia all over the walls, because I've got a lot of Raiders memorabilia, trust me. And just a sports environment, with some of the old replays and special moments, and it's just a theme-based brothel about sports, just like I did my Alien Cat House, which is on the test site missile range right at the borderline.
All right. Is this about being a fan, or is it about business, or both?
Oh, it's both. We're all fans. The girls are fans. We're Raiders fans. I mean, the girls are always at the games, and we follow the Raiders, and the girls are big fans, and it's just exciting for us, and it's business too. It's going to be a theme-based brothel about sports, and that's going to be fun. It's not only going to be the Raiders, but that will be a big part of it. We might as well do other sports also.
Okay. I know you just kind of announced it, but are you anticipating, or have you already had any blowback from maybe the NFL or someone like that who don't want the players going up to you?
Boy, wouldn't that be something? The NFL didn't want people having sex? Come on, the football players are known for that. Of course, and at least, they don't have to bring their hookers from Oakland. Oakland and Las Vegas has got the worst illegal hooker problem in America, and now they got a legal alternative for the fans and the guys to go to. We've already said we're going to give 50% off to anybody that works for the Raiders organization. And if they make the Super Bowl, they don't even have to win. They make the Super Bowl, everybody parties for free in the Raiders organization.
Wow. Well, that's pretty great. I should maybe get a job with the Raiders.
Crystal, just north of Pahrump. I already have one brothel there, which was made famous by Lamar Odom, the Love Ranch. And it's right by the Love Ranch. And it's going to be the theme-based brothel. And we've been working on it for 2 years, and we just really hadn't come up with the concept yet. But the building's all complete, and we're ready to go. Now we got the concept, sports-based.
The Raiders-themed brothel never came to fruition, not because Dennis Hof wasn't determined, but because Dennis Hof wasn't around. On October 16th, 2018, just after his 72nd birthday party with guests like Heidi Fleiss and Ron Jeremy in attendance, Dennis Hof died in his bed. He had a massive heart attack and died from atherosclerosis and hypertensive heart disease. The brothel limped on without him. Oh, maybe the word limp is not the best word for this episode. And then the brothel closed in 2020 during the pandemic. But from the ashes, other brothels have risen. Even more notable, Dennis Hof won the election he was in. He posthumously won it, defeating Licia Romanov by a 68-31% margin. The seat Dennis won was declared vacant because Dennis was deceased, and a replacement was appointed by the sitting county commissioners. The Trump of Pahrump was gone, but his legacy will live on for a long time. Every time someone travels out past the glittering lights of Las Vegas to the dry and desolate southwestern desert, there will be signs that Dennis was there, standing in trailer homes and buildings with bikini-clad statues popping up among the tumbleweeds. The pimp-turned-politician lives on in the lingerie-clad women who work the cat houses, practicing the profession as old as time. And like it or not, that profession will be here long after you and I are just dust in the wind. Thank you for joining me today on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. I hope you enjoyed that, something a little bit different. I love a good cheeky true crime story, although I feel for the women who are making the allegations. I sure appreciate all of you who are patrons. If you'd like to join my Patreon, you will get some bonus content that you can't see or hear anywhere else. This is my podcast. It's on Apple and Spotify, and I post brand new episodes every Monday and Wednesday. Don't forget about our fundraisers. The one for the painting is coming to a close. There's a playlist on my channel entitled Fundraiser. There's 2 videos on there. If you want to enter to win this painting, all you have to do is donate $5. We're going to do a digital raffle, and someone will win this painting. 100% of the donations goes to NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We're going to close that fundraiser here in the next week or so make sure you're in it if you want to try to win the painting. I really look forward to talking with you in the comments about this episode. I'm sure you're going to have plenty to say, and I can't wait. Stay safe, my friends, and be kind to each other, and I will see you next time on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Bye.